Noon Saakinah and the Tanween. As for this word Tanween here, it means nooning. Nooning. Tanween, the root letters of Tanween are noon, wow, noon. That's noon. So Tanween means yani, to make a noon, or to make into a noon, or to make a noon out of something. So it's nooning. Some people say noonation. Maybe a lot of them. The noon with the sukoon is called noon sakinah. It is written and always pronounced. Whether continually speaking or stopping. Yeah, because either you're speaking or you're stopping. You're continuing to speak or you're stopping. And you have three positions, beginning, middle, and end of a word. And here we're dealing with sukoon. So if we're dealing with sukoon, means beginning of word is excluded. So when we're dealing with sukoon, means we're only then looking for the middle of the word or the end of the word. So this noon sakinah, it appears when you're still speaking or when you're stopping. As opposed to tanween. Tanween only appears when you're still speaking. And it appears at the end of a word and in its middle. But never at its beginning, as opposed to tanween. Tanween only appears at the end. Because the sukoon, which is the absence of a vowel, never comes at the beginning of a word.
Right.
Yes. Footnote here, and if it would, if the word in itself originally starts with a sukoon, then they would put a hamzatul wasl in front to have a vowel for starting, because a haraka is always needed for pronouncing Arabic. The synopsis of this is that starting is with a haraka and ending is with a sukoon. This is the speech of the Arabs.
Right.
But not necessarily the case for poetry.
Okay.
In Arabic poetry, you might like stop on the sukoon. Yani, I mean, the tanween, I mean.
Yeah.
Okay. So outside of the poetry, technically you don't say baytun. You just say bayt if you're stopping.
Yeah.
Rajul, etc. But in the poetry, you're gonna sometimes actually say rajulun and stop there. That's how it goes. That's how the poetry goes. The tanween is the unwritten noon sakinah, exclusively appearing at the end of an ism, yani a noun. We'll say noun here. Does your copy say noun?
Yes. Also, the spelling of appearing is wrong in both the book and your text.
I'm sorry?
The spelling of appearing is wrong in both books.
It
yes.
says,
it says appearing as well in the text. Yeah.
Thank you.
But yes, it does say noun, Sheikh.
Okay. The tanween is the unwritten noon sakinah exclusively appearing at the end of a noun, As an additive to the word, yes, the tanween is ziyada, it's extra. And it's pronounced upon continuation and thus dropped when stopping. So this is true definition of tanween right here.
Right.
Even outside of Tajweed, this is true definition of tanween. It's not correct to say tanween is two dhammas, two fathas, or two kasras. Yeah, actually, the tanween is one of those two dhammas or fathas or kasras. Now I'm using this computer here. It's not so easy to draw with my mouse, but let me see here. So if you say Bismillah, So you have rajul. So if you say rajulun, so originally the way it sounds is like you're saying this.
Yep.
Rajulun.
Uh-huh.
But they didn't write this noon here. Instead of writing that noon, instead of that, they wrote an extra harakah.
Yes.
So it's not that the tanween is two dhammas, it's only one of those two.
Oh.
One of these dhammas is the i'rab sign. That's the i'rab sign. And the other one is the tanween. If we were saying rajulin, same thing. If we were saying rajulin, so originally it's looks like it's like this, rajulin. But they didn't write this extra noon. This kasra right here, that's the i'rab sign. Because in front of the word it's going to be like min or ila or something that makes it majroor. And then the tanween is there. It's sound of a noon, but they didn't write the noon, so instead they just wrote another harakah. So the second harakah is the tanween, not both of them.
Okay. Mashallah.
Tanween cannot exist with al. So that's why when al comes, one of those harakat goes away.
Okay.
The other one stays. Which one stays? The actual i'rab sign.
Right.
And when that al goes away, then that noon's going to come back. And same thing about idafa. You cannot have tanween and idafa and the tanween and the mudaf. If something's going to be mudaf, it's not going to have tanween on it. So when you put those two words together, mudaf and mudaf ilayhi, the tanween's going to go away. But the harakah, that originally one's going to stay there because that's the i'rab sign. So then this right here, let me just erase this. This is the true definition of tanween. An unwritten noon Saakinah. Yani, if you want to say very, very little, the most minimal you're going to say is it's an unwritten noon Saakinah. If you want to say more, you're going to add more. Exclusively appearing at the end of the noun. Yani, never in the beginning, never in the middle. At the end of a noun, never on a verb, never on a particle. As an additive to the word, never originally part of the word. And it is pronounced upon continuation and thus dropped when stopping. This section is divided into 4 categories because a noon in relation to what comes after it has 4 cases. Pronouncing the noon plainly. Izhar. Izhar. Yani, this word izhar comes from zahara originally, zahara, to appear. Izhar means to make appear. You say zahara yazharu, zuhura, it appeared. And you say azhara yuzhiru izhara, he made it appear. He manifested it. The first category is izhar, which, as a rule of the noon, is to make the noon apparent and obvious, which basically means not to change it. You're going to leave it as it is originally and pronounce it without any alteration. Linguistically, izhar is clarification, bayan. And technically, it is producing every letter from its exit. Yani, because you have izhar for different things. You have izhar of noon, izhar of mim, izhar of lam, etc. Yeah, these names, they are they have applications in the different topics of Tajweed. So, in this case of noon, that would be without a humming ghunnah. Yani
Right.
izhar is without a humming ghunnah.
Mhm.
That's how we've worded it right here. And in
Right.
Arabic tajweed books, they're going to say without a ghunnah.
Right.
It's worded this way here just for clarity.
Mhm.
Without a humming ghunnah. Why? Because we know that really the ghunnah is built into a noon, built into a meme. It's really going to be there.
Mhm.
So just to minimize the confusion of some persons, not a humming ghunnah.
Right.
Specifically, the noon Saakinah and the Tanween appear plainly and clearly with the 6 aforementioned letters of
Guttural.
guttural letters. With the 6 aforementioned guttural letters, the throat letters, yani the same thing, guttural letters, throat letters. حروف الحلق. The throat letters are obviously named as such because they come from the throat.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's so obvious that I have half a mind to erase this sentence.
MashaAllah.
MashaAllah. The Hamza and the Ha, those
Mhm.
two come from the bottom of the throat. We covered that already.
Uh-huh.
The Ayn and the Ha, those two, neither of which have a dot. They're muhmal. They come
Mhm.
from the middle of the throat.
Mhm.
And the Ghayn and the Kha, and those two, both of which have a dot, mu'jam,
Uh-huh.
come from the top of the throat, also called, also referred to as the
Uh-huh.
closest part of the throat. Also
Yep.
referred to as the closest part of the throat. Okay.
Mhm.
Yes. So most of this information we took it already when we went over the exits of the letters.
No.
Is there any new information here? There is some new information here. Muhmal and Mu'jam.
Mhm.
That's not directly related to Tajweed, though. That's more related to Arabic language. But what is that? The word
Mhm.
Mu'jam has passed us already. Because
Right.
when we took the letters,
Mhm.
we said that these letters are so sometimes called huruf al-mu'jam,
Mhm.
and that this means they are distinguished or dotted.
Right.
So all the Arabic letters are called al-huruf al-mu'jam or
Mhm.
huruf al-mu'jam. Huruf
Mhm.
al-mu'jam, sorry. Huruf al-mu'jam, all the Arabic letters, the ones with dots and ones without dots.
Right.
Why they called that? Yeah, so as a collective, they are called huruf al-mu'jam. Why they
Mhm.
call that? Because some of them have dots.
Uh,
They're called dotted letters because some of them have dots.
right.
And mu'jam has the meaning of distinguishing.
Mhm.
And so they're called mu'jam because they are distinguished from each other. Because you can know the dotted one from the undotted one.
Mhm.
Muhmal means in this context, undotted.
Right. Makes sense.
But linguistically means neglected.
Uh,
And the meaning here is that they have not been given a dot.
uh-huh. Wow.
So they're going to say Ain muhmala, Ha muhmala, Kha
Mm.
mu'jama, min fawq, from above.
Uh-huh.
Ghain mu'jama, min fawq, from above.
Uh-huh.
Well, Ghain's only going to be from above. They don't have to say from above. Kha, they're going to say min fawq, from above, to distinguish it from Jim, mu'jama, min tahad, from below.
Yes. Okay.
And why are they talking like that, by the way? Because the scholars, they don't want to rely merely on just writing the word there only. Rather, because of the fear and possibility of perversion getting into the writing,
Mhm.
like misprinting, for
Right.
example, then they want to spell it out for you. They're going to say, for example, when Imam An-Nawawi was talking about the meaning of bid'ah,
Uh-huh.
said bid'ah with with a kasra on the ba with a dot underneath. So
Wow.
why are you saying with a kasra on the ba with a dot underneath? You could just write bid'ah there. Because it's
MashaAllah.
not relying on the fact that he wrote the word bid'ah there. Just in case some perversion happens, you're going to be
MashaAllah.
able to still know that's supposed to be bid'ah. And this is helpful because many times you will find actually there's a perversion in there. And because the author, he spelled it out for you, then you're going to know how to fix it.
MashaAllah. Wow.
So you're going to say, for example, ba with the dot underneath and a kasra, and dal without a dot and a sukun, and ayn without a dot, bid'ah.
Wow.
And then you're
MashaAllah.
going to know what the author intended.
Wow.
Therefore, there are 6 guttural letters, 2 at the bottom, 2 in the middle, 2 at the top. Al-Jumzuriyyah said, فالأول الإظهار قبل أحرف للحلق 6 رتبت فلتعرفي همز فهاء ثم عين حاء مهملتان ثم غين خاء. Are you with me here?
It's very different in the book.
Okay. What do you
The
have?
order. So, for example, on the order in the book, the right-hand side is للحلق from that point. Then it goes across to فالأول الإظهار. Then it goes فلتعرف. Then it goes Hamza. Then it goes Muhmala. So it's very. So pretty much, I think the top 2 lines are basically swapped around.
Okay.
للحلقي is basically in the place of فال أول.
Sounds like probably they got a case of the stuff getting flipped around like this, huh?
للحلقي. No, it starts from للحلقي. Shall I send you a picture on WhatsApp? Would that be easier?
Yeah, it's okay anyway. This what's right here is correct. What's on your screen.
Right.
فالأول الإظهار قبل أحرف للحلق 6 رتبت فلتعرفي همز فهاء ثم عين حاء مهملتان ثم غين خاء.
Right. Okay.
The first of the 4 categories is إظهار. فالأول الإظهار قبل أحرف للحلق. When the noon falls before guttural letters, they are 6. ست رتبت, all arranged by their exits. فلتعرفي. So know that همز يعني همزة فهاء then ha ثم عين حاء then عين and ha, which are both without dots because he said مهملتان ثم غين خاء then غين and خاء. Yes, so that's clear. And these lines of poetry, they have some filler in them, like this word فلتعرفي. It doesn't need to be there for the meaning. يعني فالأول الإظهار, the first is إظهار قبل أحرفي, before letters للحلق, of the throat. ست, there's 6. All that's vital information.
Right, yes.
رتبت, arranged. Okay, يعني even that's not vital. But okay. رتبت فلتعرفي, so no. Yeah. So as a poet, he has to fill out the rest of the line. Yeah. So that's called in Arabic hashu, filler. Or sometimes they say takmilatan bil bayt, completion of the line. Hamzun faha'un. He didn't say hamzatun because he has to keep the beat. So he dropped the ta marbuta. Hamzun faha'un. Thumma aynun ha'u. There's no conjunction between the word ayn and ha here. Also because he has to keep the beat. So he says hamzun, then there's conjunction fa, ha'un, then there's conjunction thumma, aynun, then no conjunction ha'u,
right,
muhmalatani, without dots, thumma ghaynun, then ghayn, then there's no conjunction kha'u, kha. But in the translation we put some conjunctions just for the flow. The word and here, ghayn and kha, ayn and ha. Furthermore, know that the noon could fall with the letters of izhar in one word or in two words. Examples from the Quran of the noon Saakinah and Tanween pronounced clearly without a humming ghunnah because they are followed by a throat letter are min ila. So that's two words. Yan aun. Yan aun. That's one word. And a tip here. Let me first pull this up. When you have the fatha before the waw sakina, you want to make sure that fatha stays pure. Yan aun yan aun. A person's gonna be inclined to turn that into the sound o. Yan aun. Yan aun.
Okay.
Rasulun Amin. In two words, Rasulun Amin. Min ila. So what happened here? We have noon sakina at the end of the word. And then noon sakina in the middle of the word.
Yep.
And then tanween, which only appears at the end of the word.
Right.
And that's it. That's the pattern. Then noon sakina.
Yes.
In this case, man hajar.
Okay.
Jurufin har. So there's no example here of noon sakina in the middle of the word with the ha. But there comes to my mind wa min haja. There's an ayah that has that. Wa min haja. So that's one word with noon in the middle.
Right.
Maybe it's missing or something. Maybe we forgot something here. Okay. Min and noon with ayn in two different words. Ajirun azim. Tanween with ayn. An'amta. An'amta. That's noon sakina in the middle with the ayn. An'amta. So why it's not here? That bothers me. Min hakim. Okay. Khayratun hisan. Nothing's coming to my mind for noon in the middle with the ha.
Okay.
Min ghil. Ma in ghayr. Min khawf. Nida'an khafiyya. The reasoning behind keeping this noon unadulterated is that the exits of the noon and the ghunnah are far from the throat. The noon comes from the front of the tongue, and the ghunnah comes from the bridge of the nose. By now, it is clear that although the ghunnah is an attribute, it has its own exit. Therefore, it is like a letter, since letters have exits, and unlike other attributes, since attributes do not have independent exits. However, it is not a letter because it cannot exit independently. Okay. Merging the noon into the following letter, idgham. The second section when it comes to noon with a sukoon, or noon with a sukoon, or tanween, is the section of idgham, merging, assimilating. Other words also work there. Linguistically, idgham means inserting something into something.
Right.
Technically, it is for a letter with a sukoon to meet a letter with a harakah. Then, with one motion, the tongue will move with the both of them as a single doubled letter. For example, the origin of the noon in inna is a noon with a sukoon, in, meeting a second noon with a harakah, na. So inna. Those two noons merge and become one doubled letter, inna. And the tongue will move one motion for both of them. Let me add the word with. Know that the noon Saakinah and the Tanween are merged with 6 letters. Ya, which has 2 dots from underneath. So now we have an English document here. As an English document, it's not so much in need of all those 2 dots underneath and all that other talk like that. But it's here to introduce the learner to that and to get him prepared for the Arabic books. As he is, as a student of knowledge, learning Arabic language and getting involved with the books of the scholars. The ra, the meme, the lam, the noon, and the wow. Those 6 letters form the mnemonic device used by the reciters. Yarmaloon. Therefore, this noon or tanween merged into these 6 letters has 2 divisions. I said therefore. Furthermore, this noon or tanween merged into these 6 letters has 2 divisions. Give me one moment. Let me just grab some water, please, inshallah.
Of course, no worries.
Merging with a ghunnah. The first division is the idgham with a ghunnah. And that is for the noon to be merged into the remaining letters of yarmaloon, remaining. After discussing the ra and lam, 4 are left. So something's out of order here.
Yeah, in the text here, it says, it's the exact same words. It says that the first division is the idgham with the ghunnah, and that is for the noon to be merged into the letters that form the acronym yanmu. It doesn't have that paragraph there.
Now this order here, yeah. Okay, so it just needs slight adjustment here only, which is just to remove this statement here. So let me repeat. Furthermore, this noon or tanween merged into these 6 letters has 2 divisions. Yeah, yani idgham with ghunna and idgham without ghunna. Those are the 2 divisions. We're starting with idgham with ghunna.
Yeah.
So the first division is the idgham with a ghunna. And that is for the noon to be merged into the letters, remove the word remaining, into the letters. Okay. MashaAllah. That form the acronym Yanmu into the letters that form the acronym Yanmu, or the mnemonic device of Yanmu. The first division is the idgham with a ghunna, and that is for the noon to be merged into the letters that form the acronym Yanmu. Now, we can keep something here. That is for the noon to be merged with, okay, khalas. Let's remove this here. It's very easy. And then, after discussing the ra and the lam for our left, this gets removed.
Yep.
So, the first division is the idgham with the ghunna, and that is for the noon to be merged into the letters that form the acronym Yanmu. The noon or tanween is merged into these 4 letters, however, without those letters completely enveloping the noon, as proven by the remainder of the ghunna.
Yep.
And the ghunna is merged for the measure of 2 harakas. Yeah, we'll see here. Take the following examples. As for the noon itself, so we have 4 letters. Ya, noon, mim, wow. Yanmu, the letters of Yanmu. So, we're under the category of idgham.
Yep.
This is the second rule of noon Saakinah. So, a noon with a sukoon followed by any of the letters of Yarmalun. That's 6 letters.
Right.
These 6 letters of Yarmalun have 2 categories.
Right.
The first category takes 4 of these 6 letters. Those 4, they form the mnemonic device Yanmu. And what's particular about them is that the noon merges with these letters with a ghunna.
Right.
The noon merges with these letters and the ghunna remains. Okay, so when we say the ghunna remains, then that's because these 4 letters do not completely envelop the noon. They do not completely assimilate the noon. They let this noon Saakinah retain some of its identity. They let it retain some of its own identity, hence there's a ghunna that remains. As opposed to those other 2 letters we're going to come to, lam and ra. They envelop that noon, they assimilate that noon so perfectly that even the ghunna is completely gone.
Right.
So, take the following examples. As for the noon itself, an example is min ni'mah. So we're merging the noon into the noon.
Yep.
Originally, it is min ni'ma, min ni'ma.
Yep.
An example with the tanween is hittatun naghfir. Hittatun naghfir. So originally, it is hittatun naghfir. So the noon and the tanween are merged into the noon. Yani the noon and the tanween that are at the end of one word are merged into the noon of the following word. And the reason for the noon to be merged into the noon is that they are the same letter.
Yep.
It's a maf'ul. As for the meme, an example is mimma. Originally, it is minma. Minma. And an example with the tanween is siratim mustaqim. Originally, it is siratim mustaqim. The reason for the noon to be merged into the meme is they're sharing the same quality to Janus. Yani they are the same type. They have the same jints. What's their type? They both share the ghunna. Since they both share the ghunna, then from that point of view, they are from the same type. So merging the noon into the meme is suitable. As for the ya, among its examples is man yaqul. The origin is man yaqul. The noon is merged into the ya. So the ya takes a shaddah. Man yaqul. And this ya is not completely enveloping the noon. The noon retains some of its own identity, which is in the appearance of the ghunna. That ghunna is evidence for the noon. Man yaqul. As for the ghunna, why is there a ghunna here? Ya doesn't have anything to do with the ghunna. And the first one we saw was noon merging into a noon. Okay, noon has a ghunna. It's merging into a noon. Okay, so there's going to be a ghunna. Second one we saw was noon merging into a meme. Okay, both of those still have ghunna. So there's going to be a ghunna. Now we're looking at noon merging into a ya, and ya doesn't have anything to do with a ghunna. So why is there a ghunna here? The ghunna is the attribute of the noon and not the ya. It is preserved as evidence for the noon, which is now gone. It is inserted into the ya. So that ghunna is a dalil. It's evidence. Evidence for what's not there anymore. An example for the tanween is وَبَرُقٌ يَجْعَلُونَ وَبَرُقٌ يَجْعَلُونَ. Originally it is بَرُقٌ يَجْعَلُونَ. For the wow, an example is مِنْ وَرَائِهِمْ. مِنْ وَرَائِهِمْ. Originally, it is مِنْ وَرَائِهِمْ. An example with a tanween is as follows. وَهُدًى وَرَحْمَةً. Origin is وَهُدًى وَرَحْمَةً. The reason the noon and the tanween are merged into the ya or the wow is that the ghunna that is built into the noon has the semblance of the extension and softness that are built into the ya and the wow. This similarity draws the noon closer to the ya and the wow, and therefore makes a nice and suitable merger. So this talk right here, this is what you call illah. Illah's reasoning. Yeah, what they're doing right here is like what the scholars of fiqh do. Yani, there's a rule. You say, for example, you cannot tan pig skin and you cannot tan dog skin. You can't tan it.
Right.
Okay, so that's the rule. Okay, that's the hukum. So here, what's the hukum? The rule. Rule is you merge noon into the ya, noon Saakinah into ya or wow with a ghunna. That's hukum.
Yeah.
Why? The answer to why, that's called illah.
Right.
As opposed to dalil, though. Dalil is evidence. Dalil means ayah from the Quran, hadith from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's going to be dalil. Whether you could have a dalil, you still don't know the illah. In the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or in the Quran, when Allah forbade us from the pig meat. Why? Someone's going to say pig meat. Well, they have parasites. Pig meat. They don't have pores. The pig. Well, the pig's like this and like that. Whatever Allah knows. If we were to say we don't know why, then it could be the case that we don't know why Allah forbade it. We just know that He forbade it. We know the hukum, it's haram. We know the proof. وَلَحْمَ الْخِنْزِيرِ وَلَحْمُ الْخِنْزِيرِ. What's the illah? What's the reasoning? We might not know. Sometimes you know, sometimes you don't know.
MashaAllah.
So sometimes you know. They said, well, why you can't tan the pig skin or the dog skin? Because the pig was najis while it was alive. So what's he going to do for you when you tan it after it's dead? It's not going to become pure. If it was najis while he was alive, it's going to still be najis after he's dead.
Yeah.
The other animals, they were not najis while they were alive. When they died, you could skin it. And then when you work on the skin, you tan the skin, you're going to turn the skin back tahir again.
Yes.
It was tahir when it was alive. Then it died, became najis, but you skinned it, and the process of tanning it turned it back into tahir. So that's called illah, reasoning. So that's what he just gave us here, reasoning. Why the noon is merged into the ya and the wow? Because noon has a feature which is ghunna. And this ghunna, it is like the ya and the wow in softness and in stretching. So we were able then to merge noon into wow and ya. Yet, there is an exception for this merger, which is for the assimilating letter, the noon, and the letter into which it is assimilated, the wow or the ya, to meet in the same word. If they do, then there is no humming ghunnah. Rather, it is necessary to make the noon apparent so that the word would not be confused with a word that is muda'af, a word in which one of its fundamental root letters has a shadda, or a word which one of its fundamental root letters has a shadda. Therefore, one says sinwan, pronouncing the noon clearly, despite that it has a sukoon and it's followed by a wow. Since they appeared in the same word, then there is no merger here. And ad-dunya. So had there been a merger, we would have said sinwan, and we would have said ad-dunya. But we don't say that. That's wrong, actually. Clearly pronouncing the noon in both cases. Clearly pronouncing the noon in both cases. Yes. Merging without a ghunnah. The second division is the idgham without a ghunnah. That is for the noon or the tanween to be completely enveloped by a lam or a ra.
Right.
Those are the remaining letters of Yarmalun after Yanmu.
Yeah.
Without leaving even a trace of the noon. Not a single trace of it. An example for the lam is Malam. The origin is Manlam. And an example with a tanween is La ibrata liman. La ibrata liman. Originally it is La ibratan liman. An example with the ra is Mir rabbikum. Mir rabbikum. Originally it is Min rabbikum. An example with the tanween is Muhammadur Rasulullah. Originally it is Muhammadun Rasulullah. Once I debated with a kafir. He told me, tell me where it is. One place in the Quran says Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. I knew the ayah, but I couldn't remember where it was. SubhanAllah. I wasn't able to answer him at the moment, at that time.
MashaAllah.
The reason the noon is completely fused into lam and ra without a trace, meaning that the ghunnah disappears. Let me add the word even, meaning that even the ghunnah disappears, is that the exit of the noon, which is the front of the tongue, is very close to their exits.
Right.
Noon, lam, ra. We saw that when we went over the exits and we practiced the ayah from Surah Sad. وَقَالُوا مَا لَنَا لَا نَرَى رِجَالًا كُنَّا نَعُدُّهُم مِّنَ الْأَشْرَارِ. The synopsis of all of these details is that the noon is merged into the 6 letters of Yarmalun. Yes. When the noon is merged into the ra or the lam, there is no ghunnah. When, let's say, when it is merged into the letters of Yanmu, there is a ghunnah. Unless the noon is present in the same word with a waw or a ya, then there is no idgham and no ghunnah.
Right.
That's the synopsis of all of what we just said. Al-Jumzuriyyah stated this abstract in a few of his lines when he said, وَالثَّانِي إِدْغَامٌ. Okay. وَالثَّانِي إِدْغَامٌ بِسِتَّةٍ أَتَتْ في يرملون عندهم قد ثبتت لكنها قسمان قسم يدغما فيه بغنة بينمو علما إلا إذا كان بكلمة فلا تدغم كدنيا تدغم كالدنيا ثم سنوان تلا والثاني إدغام بغير غنة في اللام والراء ثم كررنه. So he says, the second case for the noon Saakinah is merging with 6 letters. والثاني إدغام بستة. Second is merging with 6. They come in the acronym or the mnemonic device Yarmalun. أتت في يرملون. They come in Yarmalun. عندهم قد ثبتت. This part's not in the translation. عندهم قد ثبتت because it's filler.
Right.
Yani, in the letters of Yarmalun, according to them, that's confirmed. لكنها قسمان. However, it is of 2 categories. قسم يدغما. In one category, the merger يدغم فيه بغنة. The merger is with a غنة. بينمو. And those are known as the letters of ينمو. علما. That's how it's known.
Right.
إلا إذا كان بكلمة, unless they were within one word. فلا تدغم. Then there is no merger. كدنيا ثم سنوان, like dunya and sinwan. So the translation down here is just not very literally following the lines of poetry. Because I guess doesn't need to be. Doesn't need to be like that, so exactly literal. More important here that the rules are presented. So فلا تدغم. Let me back up here. إلا إذا كان بكلمة, unless they were within one word. فلا تدغم. So something's missing here.
Right.
Here. Then there is no غنة. كدنيا ثم سنوان تلا. Like dunya and sinwan. That follows. Sinwan follows dunya. والثاني إدغام بغير غنة. The second is a merger without a غنة. في اللام والراء, with the letters lam and ra. ثم كررن. And do not let the ra roll repetitiously.
MashaAllah.
That's a digression there, because that doesn't have anything to do with the mas'ala here.
SubhanAllah, I'm learning new things.
Alhamdulillah.
It's amazing. Honestly, I mean, I'm 26 now, so we cover Tajweed in the madrasa, like I mentioned. We're very young. We've recently gone back over and just, SubhanAllah, it's amazing to learn new stuff. It's like humbling.
Alhamdulillah. MashaAllah, it is. MashaAllah. SubhanAllah. It is. I remember when I went to Lebanon, I was just thinking, I think today or yesterday, actually, that humbling, that experience of being humbled is very good. It's something that we need, mashallah. Subhanallah. طيب. The third case for noon Saakinah is called iqlab, or it's called qalb. Iqlab or qalb. Flipping or turning something. Linguistically, it is to turn something from its surface or side onto another, so flipping it. Or to turn something from its front to its back. Technically, iqlab is putting one letter in place of another. So the word iqlab is broader than noon only. There's iqlab in different cases, even outside of Tajweed. Yeah, because, for example, the pattern of the Arabic verb ifta'ala, if the fa is the sad or dad or ta or dha, then the ta and ifta'ala turns to a ta, flips. So you say ittaraba. You don't say ittaraba. You don't say ittaraba with the ta. You say ittaraba. The ta flips, yaqlib or tanqalib. It turns to ta. So this is case of noon. Here, one of the cases of noon. Yani noon participates in this broader act of iqlab when it interacts with some letters. So the reality of the iqlab is that in pronunciation, the noon Saakinah and the Tanween turn into a meme. Yeah, that's true. It becomes really a true meme. If a ba falls after them, yani this noon Saakinah or Tanween has a ba after it, then that noon Saakinah or Tanween turns into a meme in pronunciation. This is the consensus of all reciters. And this is the rule in the Arabic language that's documented by Ibn Malik in his Alfiyah, the Alfiyah of Ibn Malik. One would be putting a meme in the place of the noon Saakinah only in pronunciation, not in script.
Right.
Yeah, he's not gonna write a meme. He's gonna write a noon. But he's going to say a meme.
Right.
A lightened meme. He's going to pronounce a meme, not write it, and then hide that meme by lightening it slightly. How he's lightening it slightly, as it says here, by turning the noon into a meme, there is preparing the lips for the back. That's why the meme itself is going to be light, because your ultimate goal here is to pronounce the back. You have in your possession a word with a noon, Saakinah. And this word has a bat after the noon, and you want to get to that bat. And to get to that bat, you turn the noon into a meme. And then put your lips ready for the bat, since the meme and the bat come from the same place.
Yeah.
They just have different qualities. Okay. The ghunnah must be observed without any idgham. Without any idgham. Yeah, without an idgham. That's what a beginner needs to understand. It's not a case of idgham here. So we did not merge the noon into the bat. Correct. And there's no shadda also. There's no idgham, there's no shadda.
Yep.
Although there is two counts in the ghunnah. The duration of this iqlab is 2 harakas. So to produce the ghunnah in an obvious manner. There was something here though. This is consensus of all reciters. Just want to take out the word all though. All reciters. Okay. An example within one word is لَيُنْبَذَنَّ. لَيُنْبَذَنَّ. So we have 2 M's here in our transliteration or transcription here. So originally there's the origin is لَيُنْبَذَنَّ. لَيُنْبَذَنَّ. But it comes out in pronunciation لَيُنْبَذَنَّ.
Yep.
And here, this is bold. What if we take the bold off of these M's here? As a signal to that needs to be lightened.
Right.
The meme needs to be lightened here. So that's not full-powered meme. لَيُنْبَذَنَّ. That's only preparation for the bat. An example in which the iqlab takes place through 2 words is min ba'd. Min ba'd. The origin is min ba'd. An example with a tanween is alimun bidhati as-sudur. Alimun bidhati as-sudur. The origin is alimun bidhati as-sudur. The reason behind this exchange of letters when the ba appears is that the meme is the noon's sister in the ghunnah.
Yep.
And in obstruction of air. And furthermore, the meme is the ba sister because they come from the same exit. The noon and the meme are sisters, and the meme and the ba are sisters. When the noon fell before a ba and we were unable to merge the noon into the ba because their exits are too far apart, being that the ba is from the lips and the noon is from the tongue, and we also do not make the noon unadulterated and apparent with the ba because the noon resembles the ba's sister, which is the meme. The noon was flipped into a meme. Here where it says, and we also do not make the noon unadulterated and apparent with the ba. It means it's like it's as if that ba is uh, has an effect on the noon anyway. It's like the ba has an effect on the noon, like your tongue would be inclined not to say that noon. Even in English, for example, if you have something that has an N and a B, you're going to turn that N into a M likely and keep talking. For example, they have in the States the National Basketball Association, the NBA. What will you think? People they say the NBA, the NBA.
Yeah, NBA, yeah.
Yeah, there's the NBA. It's just going to be natural to turn that N into an M because of the presence of the B there.
That's an amazing example. Wow.
MashaAllah.
MashaAllah. Wow. Yeah.
And there's some things like that for ikhfa I will mention too, inshallah. So, because the meme is the sister of both the noon and the ba. So let me back up here. And we also do not make the noon unadulterated and apparent with the ba, because the noon resembles the ba's sister, which is the meme. The noon was flipped into a meme because the meme is the sister of both the noon and the ba.
Yep.
As for merging the ba with the meme, it is good. This is a different case here.
Yep.
This is a different case here, but it's just related because it has the same letters involved. Merging ba with meme. Yani, this means idgham. We're not talking about idgham right now. We're talking about the iqlab of noon because of the ba. Iqlab of noon into a meme because of the ba. Now this is a digression. As for merging the ba with the meme, it is good. In this case, it is necessary to make the ghunna obvious because of exchanging the ba for a meme with a sukoon, and that meme with a sukoon has a ghunna in it. Among what came as a recitation is irkam ma'na. The origin of that is irkab ma'ana. That's what Nuh said to his son, his kafir son, when the flood came. He told him, because he didn't want to get in the ship, he told him, irkab ma'ana, ya bunay, ride with us. And he refused. Al-Jumzuriyyah said, rahimahullah, والثالث الإقلاب عند الباء ميما بغنة مع الإخفاء. He even has it in the metin here. ميما بغنة مع الإخفاء. So according to what I learned when I learned Alfiya ibn Malik, it is just proper Arabic in the first place to turn that meme, that noon, into a meme here.
Yep.
And meaning wrong not to do so. The third is flipping the noon upon the coming of a ba. Upon the coming of a ba. عند الباء. The third is flipping upon the ba. Into a hidden meme with a ghunna. ميما بغنة مع الإخفاء. Yes. يعني الإقلاب ميما. Flipping it into a meme بغنة, with a ghunna, مع الإخفاء, with hiding that meme, lightening it out in preparation for the ba. Okay. Hiding the noon, إخفاء. The fourth category is cloaking the noon. For linguistically, the meaning of ikhfa is to veil or hide. Technically, it is an expression of indistinctly pronouncing a letter without merging it. Also here, ikhfa has a broader application than merely the noon. We just saw it now because there's ikhfa with the of this meme.
Yep.
So noon has also participation in ikhfa, sometimes the broader issue of ikhfa.
Yep.
It is indistinctly pronouncing a letter without merging it and without a shadda. Furthermore, the ghunnah from the first letter remains, the letter being hidden, which is the noon or the tanween. Yeah, because that ghunnah is the evidence for the letter we're hiding now.
Yep.
The ikhfa differs from the idgham because hiding is in between pronouncing the noon clearly and merging the noon.
Yep.
Pronouncing the noon clearly is ilzhar, and merging the noon is idgham. Ikhfa is between ilzhar and idgham. So the beginner, he might be confused here and think there's a shadda, and there is no shadda. We are, like we said, we are cloaking this noon. We're hiding it. We're just not saying it. We're literally not going to say it. We're not going to put our tongue into position for the noon. Rather, we're going to position our mouth for the letter after the noon, and in the meantime, generating a ghunnah from the nose. So precisely, the ikhfa is hiding the noon Saakinah or the tanween with the remaining letters that have not been yet mentioned.
Yep.
Yeah, because this is the noon comes before all letters. Noon Saakinah comes before all letters except an alif. The only letter that noon Saakinah cannot precede is an alif.
Yep.
So then the first case was ilthar, pronouncing it clearly. We saw 6 letters there.
Yes.
Then the next case was iqlab, was idgham. Next case was idgham, merging it, and we saw 6 letters there. That's 12. Yep. And then the next case was iqlab. We saw 1 letter there, which is the ba. Yep. That's 13 letters. The letters which have been mentioned previously are the 6 throat letters upon which the noon is pronounced clearly, the 6 merging letters, 4 of which are accompanied by a ghunnah, and 2 of which are not, and 1 flipping letter. Those are 13, so review them for mastery.
Inshallah.
Remaining are 15 letters, and if the noon comes before any of them, one conceals the noon. They are the first letters of every word in the poetry mentioned by Al-Jumzuriyyah. So what did he say? He said, وَالرَّابِعُ الْإِخْفَاءُ عِنْدَ الْفَاضِلِ مِنَ الْحُرُوفِ وَاجِبٌ لِلْفَاضِلِ في خمسة من بعد 10 رمزها في كلم هذا البيت قد ضمنتها. The 4th is hiding the noon with the remaining letters. This is necessary for the honorable one to practice. والرابع الإخفاء. The 4th is hiding. عند الفاضل, with the remaining letters, yani with whatever's left, the surplus. That's what it means. The 4th is hiding it with the surplus of letters, yani whatever's left over. Al-Fadil. Wajibun lil-Fadili. This is necessary for the honorable one to practice. Yani this is standard in all recitations.
Right.
في 5 من بعد 10 رمزها. يعني في 5 من بعد 10. In number, they are 5 after 10. يعني 5 plus 10. رمزها في كلم هذا البيت قد ضمنتها. And the signal to them is in the first letter of the words of this following line that I included. صف ذا ثنا كم جاد شخص قد سما صف ذا ثنى كم جاد شخص قد سما دم طيبا زد في تقى ضع ظالما. Okay. So he put all these together here. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And what does this mean here, this line? Sif the thana. Sif, describe. The thana. Sif the thana, I don't remember how to explain that part there. Kam jada shaksun qad sama. How much has a person who has elevated in status become good? How good? Kam jada? How much he jada got good, became jayyid? A shakhs, a person, qad sama, a person who raised in rank. Dum tayyiban, be good, always. Dum, yani always. Ala dawam, constantly be good. Dum tayyiban, zid fi tuqa, and add taqwa. Increase in piety. Da' zalima, and leave an unjust one. Leave an unjust one. So, yani, it's a line that has in it good things, good statements, because we're Muslims, and the Muslims are good people and good doers. And now here we have a chart. We have cases within one word, between two words, and with the Tanween. So we'll go across, inshallah ta'ala, with the Tanween, between two words, and within one word.
Yep.
But it looks like it should be going from left to right, following the English. Within one word, between two words, and with the Tanween. So, وَانْصُرْنَا. وَانْصُرْنَا. So we're hiding that noon there. And preparing the next letter, which is the Sod. وَلِمَنْ صَبَرْ. وَلِمَنْ صَبَرْ. وَلِمَنْ صَبَرْ. Same thing, but two words. And رِيحًا صَرْصَرًا. رِيحًا صَرْصَرًا. Okay. And for ذال, فأنذرتكم. فأنذرتكم. And the pitch of the ghunnah, when we hide the noon, varies with the coming letter.
Right.
Because you're going to be shaping your mouth for the coming letter, and that, depending on how that letter comes out of your mouth, that's going to affect the pitch of the ghunnah.
Yep.
Which, that's nice, gives it variance in sound when you are reciting. Min dhalik. Min dhalik. So I'm pronouncing meme with a kasra clearly. Me. I'm pronouncing that dhal, yani my tongue is ready for the dhal before I even get there. And I'm not saying this noon. Min dhalik. And sira'an dhalik. Sira'an dhalik. And here with fa, mansura. And what's this order we are following? We're following the order of what the author presented in his poetry. So we started with Sod, then Fa, Shif, sorry, not Fa, Sod, then Val, then Fa, then Kaf.
Wow. Yes.
So, Mansura, and Anthabbatnak, Anthabbatnak, and Ma Anthajjaja. This is not Surah Al-Layl, this is Surah Al-Naba.
Yes.
Also here, no, this is Surah Al-Layl. فأنذرتكم نارا تلظى. Yeah, that's Surah
Used to
Al-Layl.
be فأنذرناكم عذابا قريبا. Maybe.
إنا أنذرناكم. Okay, yeah, that's Naba. And okay, so this needs to be fixed here. That's Surah An-Naba.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the number of the ayah though, so we'll check that.
Inshallah.
أن تنكحوهن with kaf. أن تنكحوهن. This one happens to have two of them.
Mm-hmm.
This first one is not the focus though.
Mm-hmm.
It's the second one we care about here. أن تنكحوهن
Mm-hmm.
من كان. Haj Ali told me when it comes to the kaf and the qaf, when you hide the noon for kaf and qaf, he said get the kaf and the qaf ready immediately. Don't dwell on it, like take your time to get to it. Have it ready immediately. So that means to say أن تنكحوهن تنكحوهن. We don't even need the word "n" here. Can take it out. تنكحوهن من كان
قرية كانت قرية كانت.
This was the other example that I wanted to give you, also in English. What do you have? You have some words such as tank, T-A-N-K. So how do we pronounce that? Usually not from the front of the tongue. You don't say tank. You bring it from the back of your tongue. You say tank.
Yeah.
That's the base of the ikhfa right there.
Yes.
If we were to put a ghanna there, we'd be saying tank.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
So these tajweed rules are actually intuitive, or some of them. Okay, and anjana for jeen, anjana min ju', and hubban jamma or qaf, and getting the qaf ready immediately. Munqalibun min qabl, min qabl. Shay'in qadir, foreseen. Min sa'atah, min sa'atah. That's Sulaiman's stick, his minsa'ah. Yeah, he died leaning upon his minsa'ah. Then a little vermin came and nibbled at it until his body went down.
SubhanAllah.
He stayed like that for a year.
Wow.
That's one evidence that came in some hadiths that the bodies of the prophets don't decay.
Yes. MashaAllah.
And Babian Salam, Babian Salam. With Dal and Dada. Min Dabba. Mustaqim Dina. Mustaqim Dina. ينطلق 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 وإن طائفتان قوما طاغين قوما طاغين. With Zay, أنزلنا أنزلنا من زوال من زوال. And يومئذ زرقا يومئذ زرقا. With Fa, الإنفاق الإنفاق من فواق من فواق. عمي فهم عمي فهم. With Ta, كنتم من تحتها من تحتها. And جنات تجري. With ضاد, منضود وطلح منضود. إن ضللت إن ضللت قوما ضالين. With ضا, ينظرون ينظرون. من ظلم من ظلم. قوم ظلموا قوم ظلموا. The reason behind this hiding of the Noon, Saakinah, and the Tanween is because, as mentioned, the Noon has two exits: the exit of the letter itself, which is the tongue, and the exit of its attribute, that special feature of the Noon, which is the Ghunnah. Because of having the exit from the tongue and the exit from the nose, it became something wide and vast, the Noon, and therefore engulfs the other letters that come from the mouth. And because of its vastness, it became associated with those letters and became indiscreet.